Hello. I hope you wanted to dive into a very chaotic and nerdy hole today, because that's where we're going. If you couldn't already guess by the Legos and the books and the rock and the ring that's my Tolkien section, I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan. I have a borrowed Lego Helm's Deep on my side table, and I have to move it every time I set up my recording situation, and it makes me happy because it's a very cool set. I'll show it to you guys sometime. But today, I want to talk about Galadriel, and I want to talk about the scene in the Fellowship of the Ring when she's giving out her gifts. If you're here because you thought this video was about rings of power and Galadriel is like a key search word, terribly sorry. Okay, it's the algorithm made me do it, guys. Anyway, this is one of my favorite scenes from the first book. All of Lothlorien really just has this rich feeling of magic and wonder. And call me crazy, but it makes my heart ache for the Grey Havens. And it's so full of memory. You have Galadriel, who was literally there at the destruction of the two trees by Morgoth and Ungoliant. But more than that, you have trees. Trees that are taller than castles, that are full of life and wonder. And you can't help but walk through these pages and gasp, this must have been here forever. And that wonder, that awe, it makes the world feel greener and brighter when I look up from the page. Is that just me? I don't know. But that feeling and that magic remind me that there's more that we were intended for. That what was good and beautiful has been lost, but that one day it will be restored. And I think that's why the elves are always both solemn and joyful. I love Peter Jackson's interpretation of Middle-earth. I think that his Lord of the Rings trilogy is possibly the greatest adaptation ever made. But one thing that always makes me a little sad is his portrayal of the elves. They're solemn and wise and careful, of course, but in the books they're both solemn and joyful. One moment you'll find them singing laments and mourning, but the next they'll be laughing and celebrating and cheering. But in both circumstances they seem to be mourning and celebrating more than we can see. When they sing a lament for Gandalf in the Fellowship of the Ring, there are deeper strains of sorrow for a world that's dying. When they laugh and cheer in Elrond's palace, they seem giddy on the joy and hope of Valinor itself and a home across the sea. And it's this memory that informs that. They know what the world is, they know what they lost, and so they hope for the day that it will be restored to them. And then, passing through this place of mystery and wonder are 8 weary travelers, our fellowship. They come in haggard, grieving, and alone, and the elves minister to them. They give them rest and wisdom and strength for the journey ahead. And that's what these chapters are really about. It's about the fellowship coming in to encounter beauty and truth so that it can carry them through the rest of their journey. And Galadriel is right at the center of that. She's the queen of Lothlorien, and she's brimming with magic that's almost terrifying because there's just so much of it, and there's so much richness and wonder. She's basically the embodiment of elvendom, in my mind at least. And as they're parting from her, she leaves them each with gifts. To Aragorn, she gives a sheath for his sword on Duril, and a gift from the woman he loves. To Gimli, she gives 3 strands of her hair. To Sam, she gives a box of earth from Lothlorien's gardens that will make his garden grow when he gets home. And to Frodo, she gives the light of Eärendil in a crystal phial, which, I'm sorry, I don't really know how to pronounce that, but by the way, the light of Eärendil is the light of freaking Silmaril, which is basically like the remnants of Middle-earth's heaven, because the light of the 2 trees are still contained in them. Like, Frodo has Silmaril light in his pocket for 3 whole books, and Tolkien just, like, doesn't even mention it? I'm sorry. Nerd tangent here. But like, come on, you guys know what I'm talking about here. And like these gifts are so incredible, of course. But when I think about it, I don't believe that the things she gave were the real gifts. She didn't just give a brooch and a sheath to Aragorn. She gave him the courage to take up his authority. She didn't just give her hairs to Gimli. She gave him beauty to hold on to and to treasure, beauty beyond what mortal hands could create. She gave Frodo the faith and the wisdom of all those who came before him as a protection. But to Sam, I believe that to Sam, she gave the most powerful gift of all. It didn't come with jewels or magic. It only came in a small wooden box. It was ordinary, even. She didn't give him a tool, a weapon, or some magic boon, but she gave him a promise. If you make it through the darkness, your garden will grow greener than any other. Home is waiting on the other side, Sam Gamgee. That's hope. Hope won't save you from danger or protect you from harm, but it will give you courage. It will give you courage because you know that your garden will be full of life overflowing because of the darkness you walked through. And I think that's the power of the Lord of the Rings stories as a whole. They're stories about little people, people who are in awe of a world that's so much bigger than them. And they're really just hoping that maybe they can make it home in one piece. They're stories about us. I think the reason that so many of us resonate with Sam is because so many of us feel like Sam. He's way out of his league. He's scared, but he's following the person that he cares about the most in the whole world. And he's hoping and believing that the world will get better. We're so small, and the world is so big. But the beauty of that contrast is in these gifts. Little things that are given to us that help us carry on. Maybe hope won't destroy Sauron, but it will help us carry the ring. These gifts couldn't change the problems that the Fellowship was up against, but they did change the Fellowship themselves. Because Aragorn stood a little straighter at the reminder of his kingship. Gimli's eyes shone a little brighter at the memory of that beauty. Sam's heart beat a little stronger because he knew that a garden, his garden, was waiting for him on the other side of the mountain.